Welcome to the Long Island Filmmakers TV show. This show is dedicated to the filmmakers on Long Island. I'm going to have directors, producers, actors, crew members come on talking about the equipment. I'm your host, Greg Pursino, and today we have Jerry Parisi, who's a filmmaker, and Bob Johanson, a filmmaker, both from Long Island. Welcome them. Bob,
Thank
glad
you
to be
very much for
here.
having me, Greg.
Jerry,
Greg, thanks to
glad
be
to
here.
see you.
Appreciate it.
So, two local guys in films, huh?
Yeah, that's
How long you been in films, Bob?
Oh boy, this is going on almost 20 years now for me.
20 years.
And the passion just doesn't stop.
Every day when you get up, you can't wait to go, right?
Well, I think we always drive for that next 12-hour day. When's it coming, when's it starting, and when's it going to be over? Because you get that feeling when you go home that you really accomplished something.
Right.
Great, great stuff.
Right. Yeah, we spoke earlier. Bob and I spoke earlier about that, and I did a 12-hour shoot on my short, and I had so much energy when I was beat. I was tired, but I could have kept on going. It was a great feeling.
Funny thing about when you leave those long days and you say like, gee, I should be tired right now. There should be something that, and there's this whole other feeling of energy and passion. And I think the word that I tie to it for myself oftentimes is glory. When you know that you've done something well, right, and you just had a great day, whether it was 12, 14, 16, you ran OT, you're doing overnights into the early morning. That glory just lasts with you forever, and you can sit with that 2 or 3 days and it just keeps getting you going further and further.
You know what? And I don't think there's any other kind of business that you can really get into to get that feeling, you know what I mean, as being a filmmaker. And
it's different than the rush that, say, a financial guy gets when he makes a big score, or a doctor gets when he saves a life. For us, the passion transcends from our heart all the way through to a camera, for example, and then hopefully to the audience. And we know that we've interacted with folks in a way that no other person can. Right. I really, really love doing this.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm starting at a I call myself an old rookie. You know, I'm starting out late, but I'm enjoying my retirement and doing it. And Jerry, how about you? How long have you been doing making films here on Long Island?
Not long. I'm in advertising 40 years, so I would have to say 20, 25 years dedicated to film and TV and radio and acting as well in that same time period. I went back and forth. I started when I was young. I was in Death Trap, a lot of old movies, and it got reignited when I was in Publishers Clearinghouse on the Prize Patrol. And I would drop into different homes with these big checks, and we really did give away the money back then.
My house, Jerry.
Well, you know, that you probably didn't enter the sweepstakes. I'll tell you a quick story. My sister lives in Greenville, South Carolina, and she doubted that. No, it couldn't be they give away money. Right. So I called her on the phone because about a week earlier you get your assignment. You're supposed to keep that very secret. And I pointed out to her, I said, well, what are you doing next week? Well, I'm home. Amanda's home. And I said, well, you know something? I said, now you're going to ride with me and the Prize Patrol to watch me give away the money you think we don't give away. And that was a procession of cars, news vans, reporters. So somewhere along the advertising and the TV film, they remelted together, and boom, here I am today.
Cool. And it's a passion, right?
If I could give it a real word, it's probably passion times a million.
So you were in the advertising business for 40 years.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to be just strictly a filmmaker, you would give that all up just to be to making films?
What a sad decision. Yes, I would actually trade poverty for that.
What was that?
Okay, sound distortion on my mic.
Pretty good. You know, he says that he's doing it 40 years. My question is, how can you be doing it 40 years? You look like that. The boy is barely 29 years old. What are you, 30 years old now? 40 years you're doing it? Come on now, fess up, Jerry.
You know what? In reality, I am 31 going on something else somewhere. But in reality, I'm 57.
God bless you.
I'm 57 years old, and this is something of a passion. And I guess it was reignited with the Publishers Clearinghouse because there was a wavering of both advertising and making TV. And when I got to Publishers Clearinghouse, because I really came from the bigger New York City agencies, Ogilvy, Footcone, and all of those, I wound up getting the lucky draw to be crossed as an art director to working in the media. So I would be working on the creative and then later move into the giveaway of money. And somehow I just was able to get into that. But I did do that. And one interesting story was when My sister, who lives in Greenville, there was a giveaway down there. She never believed Publishers Clearinghouse gave away the money, but of course I said to her, listen, what are you doing next Tuesday? And I said, and she told me what she's doing. I said, good, now instead of the plans you got there, you're going to ride with me in the Prize Patrol van, and you're going to watch me give away the money that you tell me we don't give away.
Right.
And of course there was a procession of everything. There was the vans, the newspapers, and Jerry Parisi starring the whole thing. So
cool.
Suddenly that rebit me into saying, okay, it's back to time. And that's actually when I started to think of Here's to Us, or early on is when that first came out like that, you know?
Yeah, I saw the clip you sent me, and it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I like it.
Well, I got to be honest with you, it's been out there now for 7 years. It's a labor of love because there's a lot of barriers to punch through. The Screen Actors Guild, in our latest tether, if you will, they didn't understand what we were doing. Are you doing a commercial that's an hour or 30 minutes long, or are you doing something inside of a show that you can't show products because they said, we don't have dual contracts like that.
Right.
And of course, our casting director, Donna McKenna, she's going to work with them on that, and that's really important because that's what this show is about.
Right.
Recently, Robin Williams' new show came out called Crazy Ones. And unfortunately, they've got an idea similar to ours. Now, we did submit things about 3 years ago to a few people. We can't really say it was ours, but the reality is it's almost super
Good possibility.
Older man, younger girl, Rick and Gabby, and then you have Robin and his daughter, a little more sanitized. But the point is we moved aside from that. We changed our scripts around, and what we're doing now is more of the drama feel. And that, I think, lends it better to products because advertisers that we run into more or less have an issue with comedy because, well, I don't want my product to look like something that's not to be, you're right, a joke or not to be taken seriously, you know. But to keep alive as an actor, I do a lot of other things. We do have 3 or 4 other TV shows now that I'm beginning to work on. I'm currently producing from the creative side, the advertising side, Dan Marquette's new movie, I think it's called My Long Island. And from the creative standpoint, I'm working on that.
I saw a clip on a computer, on the internet about that too.
Yeah, and he's a really dedicated filmmaker. I love working with Danny. Other than that, I've been in the newspapers. I keep myself usually on the cover of newspapers. Like this is last year's Dickens Festival, and just recently, and it only just ended recently, was on Explore Long Island the second time.
A little bit higher. Hold it up a little bit higher so the camera.
And that would be me as a pirate, Captain Jack. and what I do is I kind of gave myself a nickname, Captain Jack Rico Suave, because I was better looking than I thought than Johnny Depp was. But I tend to get a lot of advertising like this, and when I do get this, I have to tell you, it gives you mileage, because in I guess, the business of Jerry Parisi, the way it works being a Screen Actors Guild member, I can only do so much that is really only union, versus how much publicity I get. And that's where I draw the balance sheet.
They would come after you even though it's your project because you're a Screen Actors Guild and tell you what you can and cannot do?
Well, the reality of rule number 1 in the Screen Actors Guild is you cannot do a non-union project. However, most of those actors are that. They're actors. The unfortunate combination that I'm an advertiser that can work all the graphic programs, you know, Cork, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and make things happen for me visually, puts me on the PR run, but also the fact that I'm a filmmaker gives me the license to say, well, it was my film. And I think it's a little more lenient on that end, though I can't really quote their rules.
Well, they got waivers for everything now, too, don't they?
They do, but it has gotten a little bit more lenient in the past year or so since the SAG and AFTRA now decided to come together. And we're seeing that a few more union actors are coming into non-union projects, and casting directors and producers are looking at potentially some more non-union people coming into their projects and getting the permission, working through whatever they have to as far as waivers and however the permits may actually have to be written, or insurance policies. But we're seeing more and more non-union on union projects where that was taboo many, many years ago.
Totally agree.
Well, I have a couple of actors, I can't mention their names, actually going to change their name to be in my film.
There you go.
You know,
so that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
They found a project
and they do that.
Something they wanted to do. They liked the part I offered, and they're in SAG, and I'm not going through all that stuff, you know, and whatnot. And I said, well, what can we do? I'll just change my name. Don't worry about it. I said, okay, cool. You know.
The unfortunate thing on the advertising end of that is you're not getting their mileage, because when you buy into a big name from the filmmaker standpoint of view, really what you're doing is buying into their mileage. You're riding their coattails.
Yeah, but that's something different. That's something different. You're using that principle, that name, all right? I'm not doing that. You know, these are guys who've been acting for quite a few years, but you know, they've been in TV shows and been in films where they had lines and everything, and they belong to say, but they don't. You know, they want to be in my film. They're friends of mine. And
well, it's a big difference. Sure, that's a different story altogether.
See, what I like about the again, Long Island Filmmakers is everybody's there for everybody. You know, I'm helping somebody for nothing on their set. I'm down here holding the boom. I'm doing whatever I got to do. They're helping me. I had one guy hold my boom. I was talking for 12 hours. You know what that's like for 12 hours, man? You know?
You know, we're both touching on, all three of us, I guess, are touching now on something that is very unique in and around Long Island, and that is pretty much every project, if you look at it from its core, the story, it goes back to the writing. The writing is really key of where it starts and where it moves forward from. We have a tremendous, tremendous group of talented writers right here on Long Island. So when you say that you found a couple of A-listers or B-plus listers or whatever, whoever they may be, all right, that have a tremendous amount of mileage already behind their name and their brand, but they said, you know, I found a great project that I want to be behind. I want to work with this gentleman. I want to be able to get the project. The one thing I'm sure that they asked for is, can I at least see the script? Because if the script didn't bite them and it didn't hit them in their heart, they really weren't going to go.
Well, that's what I did. I met them at the diner. We went to the diner. I had my script. We had breakfast or lunch, whatever the case might be. They took it home. They read it. Okay, Greg, I want to do it. That was it, you know.
Long Island is an area that allows young people and, of course, people of every age to now really expand their horizons and grab their emotions. And if they have the ability to write and they have the passion to write, be able to put it down on paper so that people that have the talent, people that want to be actors, can get out there and actually do it. We have a tremendous, tremendous, great, great group of writers here on Long Island. And that is something that's the unsung hero in many films and many stories, that writer, the screenplay artist. That's one that people don't realize. Without that boy, there is no story.
And you know what? I want to hold you down right now with the passion that's coming out of him just talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it. I could see it when you speak, you know.
When you find a great writer, boy, there's nothing better than it. And it just grabs everybody. Anybody that has that talent, that feels that they want to do it, great writer just does, and you go like, wow, I wish I could even say that. Wait a second, I want to get it. Give me that project.
Yeah.
Let me see a little bit deeper.
Right.
Who are we working with? Wait, Gerard, wait, Greg, give me. I want to do it, and I want to do it now. Forget about the money. I'm not even talking about. We'll talk about the money in a second. Let's get to my contract.
Right.
Let's talk about this story. I want to go into a little bit further. That's what Long Island provides.
Yeah, like I'm helping what the actor was in my film. I'm helping with his film in production. Plus, I'm going to be in his film.
There you go.
So, you know,
Well, that's the great trade-off. Speaking of writing, if I go on a tangent, one of the things that one of our senior producers, Carl Sabatino, has been screaming about for years to us is get the book behind it. And now we have a writer, Laura Liller, basing it on our concept, my concept. She and I are writing the book.
Right.
Actually, she's writing a little more of it. I'm just feeding into her head. The reality is that the writing is so important on the book, which will come out before the show, that these things are keyed in, because to grab that audience, to have that money flow as well, you've got to be able to do certain venues, sort of that ladder business that we work on, one right after another thing. So promotionally, if a book comes out before a movie and makes it, that's the way that works. And he's been hitting us for this book forever. It's coming along good. I must say it's about 3/4 done now. And it'll be out in regular bookstores before our things shoot.
no, I see again too. I can see how he is when he talks about his stuff, you know. But now, like I said, I'm a rookie, even though I'm 63 years old, man. This is my first film and stuff. You know, and you were talking about finances before we started and stuff. Can you give a little background about the finances? How, if and when, and how do you do all that?
Interesting that you say, because I did want to touch on that subject a little bit. The first thing is, again, and not just going straight to the Long Island piece, you would be surprised how many projects that are actually shot or started and produced in New York actually have financing here on Long Island. There are a lot of people on Long Island with a lot of disposable cash. Whether or not they decide to spend it on filmmaking is not my question here, but there is money on Long Island, and there are projects being done on Long Island, and there is definitely financing being done out of Long Island.
Okay.
The simplest way, though, when you start thinking about how do I get something financed, how do I actually start getting it out there? One of the greatest things that's happened for us in the past couple of years is that SAG decided that they were now going to put in a new category, and the new category is called new media. New media now, let's call it one level below ultra low budget films, right?
Okay.
It's now a media that allows young filmmakers to put something together and to get it out there and to see if they actually have not only the passion and the talent to get it out there, but the real final product to say, we like this. This might be something we want to get behind. They can put it up. YouTube is a venue, of course, one. There are many others. We can put websites together. We can do all kinds of our personal lead-ins with Vimeo. There's all kinds of places you can put it. But at the end of the day, if we can put things out there now and let people see them that were never able to see them before, all of a sudden, you put something out and you have 5,000 hits in 2 weeks, 10,000, 15, 20,000 people. All of a sudden, the eyes start going up. The people that have money say, you know something, wait a second, we may have something there. So the overall financing in these past 4 to 5 years for the newer filmmakers, the filmmakers that are on Long Island that don't necessarily break the wall of New York or Hollywood all the time, would be using new media as much as they can. And I'm going to tell you that both Hollywood and New York look at that. They want to know what's going on, and then they will definitely gauge what they're using some of their monies for. The big studios will always spend the money on their big studios, and that's where they have to keep it going because they don't want to close those studios. But at the end of the day, they not only just the employment of people, but it's the employment of the upper management there. But at the end of the day, the new films and some of the great new films that we're seeing breaking out are coming from the new media category. We will even see many A-list actors right now that have their smaller production companies, and they never bothered before going forward and putting together a little film. But if you look at Tribeca this year, you look at the Long Island this year, you look at some of the bigger film festivals, you will see a tremendous amount of films being made by B and A-list actors that normally would not have done that. The reason is because they put out a little bite, they started seeing if there was a little grab on the internet, they said, we have something here. They continued with the production, they put it out, and they realized that they too, just like us, can get their financing from the bigger sources no matter how it is. So that new media category that SEG decided to get behind is a real critical piece for us, getting our startup financing. Obviously, we'd always love to think that we have that angel in the sky that's going to dump a bunch of money on us. But those days, I believe the 80s and 90s have kind of run that gamut. It's now truly a business, and people want to know that if they're going to get behind it, that there's some credibility and that we can actually get our money back.
And that's what hurts with a lot of new filmmakers. You know, they have a good idea, they put a nice film together, but they don't have an A-list actor in it.
Right.
They don't want to talk to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, how do you mentioned the festivals.
Sure.
How about looking for finance through a festival? Are there people going there specifically to look for a film that they may want to finance?
The festivals in specific, if we wanted to, there's kind of 3 levels of festivals. There's the C-level festivals that not a lot of people know actually exist, which are a great place for new filmmakers to start. You want to get some credibility and build up a credibility. And you actually want to have some failures, if you will, in those C-level festivals. Then we want to work into our B-level festivals and, of course, our A-level festivals, the Cannes, the Sundance, and so forth. Okay, if you can work your way up the ladder and you can find that there's a bite at the C-level festivals and there's even a more bite at the B-level festival, the story is great, the acting is great, the directing is good, all of the production work is where it's supposed to be. You get accepted into those A-list festivals, then you will certainly see financing because now all the big production companies make sure that they are there, and if they're not there themselves in representation, they have their key people there to make sure, because if they can get great content from a festival and pay minimum dollars on completed content, and they don't have to put all their production money behind it.
It's a lot of money saved.
It's a lot of money saved, so absolutely you can get financing. So it really goes back to story, talent, crew, casting, and all the components necessary to make a great film.
Well,
so yes.
Like other people that came on my show, I spoke to them about the same situation and stuff, and about my short. Excuse me, about my short. I'm looking at my short as my business card.
Right.
That's right.
So when I go into the festivals and I start showing it, you could take my short. Now I know somebody may be looking at how can you make a full-length feature out of it. You can make a full-length feature out of what we discussed before we started the show on my short. So if somebody comes in and they really like it, and they really like the way I put it together, you know, that's the first thing I'm going to say. Do you want to make a feature, man? Boom, let's go. You know? One
of the easiest things when you're starting to break into any studio or any production company is the first thing they want to see is they want to see a synopsis or a treatment. That's even shorter than a short, if you will. It might be a paragraph or two. If it doesn't grab them in the first 20 words or 30 words, you're probably finished. So that short, where you say it can certainly grow and morph into a large full length, at the end of the day, it's really, do I have a story that I can get behind? Is there something that I feel I can put the great talent behind, the continuum of great people behind it, cast, crew, and so on, and make it what we want it to be so that it becomes a moneymaker? So yes, it can be done. Because even when I was writing it, several people pop up in your head that if this was a feature you could use, that would be a good character for it. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't get away from that. And I wrote another short after this,
And I wrote a feature, and I got a TV series I'm thinking about, believe it or not. And I'm going back and forth, writing notes. I'm driving in the car, stuff pops up in my head. I get home, I got to write it down right away, you know. Even like one of the lines I used in my short, I got these two girls behind the counter in the movie theater. And I'm driving, and all of a sudden this popped in my head. I said, wow, Juanita would be great for this part, right? So what it was is, the line was, one girl, because I'm the boss, and I'm like losing it because of Jerry's just a jerk, you know, and whatnot. And I go run up the stairs yelling and cursing, so the girl goes like a nervous energy. She goes, I think Jerry lost his mind. So Juanita, she goes, girl, you can't lose what you never had.
There you go.
You know, and it just popped in my head. I had to write it, and I had it. Meanwhile, they had a dialogue before that, but it wasn't flowing. I even cut that dialogue just for that one line, man, you know, and I like the way it came out. But my mind's constantly racing. I can't sleep at night. I put my head down. It's
you said before that you're an older rookie at the filmmaking game, but from where you speak from an experienced, tenured filmmaker, and I'll tell you why. What really happens once you get good at it and you keep going at it is you realize that you're doing many pieces of it. So you mentioned television, you mentioned film, you mentioned writing. It's continually honing that skill. If you're a bodybuilder, you're in the gym every day. If you're a financier, you're making sure you're watching what the banknotes are doing. If you're a filmmaker and you want to be in the world of entertainment and filmmaking, you're constantly doing it, and you live it, and you think about it, and you lose sleep over it. To speak specifically to Jerry sitting next to me, he is so far into it. We wouldn't understand. This guy has like 3 or 4 pieces going now in depth. We've been sitting and doing all kinds of edits on pieces, screenplays, 2 television shows, a live piece that we're doing right now. So we're even crossing over different media just to make sure that we keep exercising those entertainment muscles. And it's critical. And he gives me the passion to continue every little day whenever I'm not thinking that, gee, just today, feeling a little tired, I'll get on the phone with him, I'll take 5 minutes of my Jerry vitamin, and I'm telling you right now, it's right back where it needs to be.
Thank you. I wish I could actually market the Jerry
Put
vitamin.
it in a bottle, Jerry.
I actually had a trainer, have a trainer, his name is Tony Rodriguez, and he looks at me, he says, Jerry, you can motivate a rock. And, well, I don't tend to want to look for rocks these days, but when it comes to a gentleman like Bob, who, when we first met each other on a project that had just ended a little while ago, that was an instant success. The drive, when you meet that, and I've always had this little line, when opportunity meets preparation, success occurs. That to me says be ready for anything, whether if you're looking to go on a date, whether you're looking for a job. I once went, this is a true story, an advertising story. I wanted to work at Ogilvy and Mather in the worst way, and I did. I got to work there proudly. But I went to Rappin Collins the day before for the interview, and they said, okay, you've got the job. I said, no, thanks. They said, why don't you want the job? You got it. I go, because I needed somebody to practice on. I have Ogilvy tomorrow. And I got into O&M.
You know what? Also persistence.
Persistence without a doubt.
I learned that when I was 15 years old. I needed a part-time job. I get off the bus. I was living in Brooklyn. I get off the bus on Liberty Avenue. I went down to Woolworths. And I walked in, and there's the manager. But then you were allowed to smoke in the stores. He's sitting at those long counters, puffing away. So I walked up and I said, listen, I'm looking for a part-time job after school. Is anything available? Nah, nothing's available. So I wasn't satisfied with that. So I said, is it okay if I come back every once in a while and see if there's an opening? Yeah, you can do that. Every Friday, for like 5 Fridays, 6 Fridays, I get off the bus and walk down there. The last time he's sitting at the counter, and he walks in, I walk up to him, he goes, am I ever going to get rid of you? I said, no. He goes, come here tomorrow morning.
You warm down.
Hey, good. You warm down. That's great.
Yep.
I
always tell everybody that, man. You just got to keep going.
With the persistence piece of it, probably a huge, huge component of everything, and that is with any piece in any business, but in this one specifically, everybody has to be prepared for some rejection.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. You know, whether it be auditioning for an actor, whether it be films that we do and we just don't even, not only get not accepted to a festival, let's say, but really just doesn't even get placed when it's there. That rejection is going to happen. From that is our growth. Without that, we don't look at it. If we have that persistence in our personality, without that rejection, without that no, without that pessimistic group of people telling you you can't, you'll never get to I can, or I will. So it is critical, and that is another piece that we see on Long Island. This is a tough bunch, not to go back to a year ago, but realistically, if you want to talk about a location that truly got through probably the most challenging time we've ever had. Getting through a Superstorm Sandy was truly an amazing, amazing thing. Not to get further into the storm, but at the end of the day, to watch the perseverance and the people that said, I will not let this get me down, is the same personality that can take them forward in any business they venture into. And if it is the entertainment industry, or if it is filmmaking like we spoke about, then I believe it is something that everybody can and will have the ability, if they decide to move forward and take the entertainment industry in her.
Do you know I'm actually waiting for my first rejection with open arms?
Just like that. Well, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
This is your last shot of vodka.
But I have to say this about Long Island. You know, one of the reasons we chose the town of Port Jefferson, and now we're looking at other towns too, is because, and you'd probably agree with me, the scenery is incredible.
Oh.
You've got a beautiful North Shore with tremendous, tremendous beaches. The South Shore is more of the real beaches, the way I look at it, rather than rocky sand, the fine sand. But between those beaches on the North and South Shores, you've got cities, you've got hamlets, you've got towns that look like things out of upstate New York or Maine, for example, New England. Yeah. You can venture into some of the busier neighborhoods, and I'll give you a true thing. As you know, adheres to us, we have two main areas we're shooting now. We're shooting in Greenville, South Carolina, and New York City. New York City for the ad agency until we take it over and move to Port Jefferson. But Greenville, South Carolina is the type of area we want to shoot as a different part of the show. Well, we're really not going to go there for every scene. We will send the B-roll crew and a few of the actors for key outdoor work for the first year, and that's fine. But believe it or not, we're going to use Huntington for that piece. And why Huntington? Because there's red bricks, that type of movement, and that's what Greenville looks like. So those close-ups in front of restaurants, and I, God forbid, give you a hint, the inside those restaurants, they'll all be shot in Huntington when a camera pans out in front of the ones over
How
in
many
Greenville.
God-given and man-made sets do we have right here on Long Island?
Unbelievable amount.
The greatest level, greatest amount of great beaches, North Shore, castles, great restaurants, great museums. This is a great, great, great place to be, live, and shoot.
Lot of places, except like somebody else mentioned on the show, there's no mountains. That's the only thing we don't have is mountains.
Give me a green screen.
I was just going to say, give me a green screen.
Yeah. Well, we only got a minute left, so if you want to just have some last words, we'll start with you, Jerry, about, you know.
Hire
anything?
me. I'm good. I'm cute, lovable, and I'll do anything for you as long as it's a Screen Actors Guild. If not, you're going to have to put a lot of publicity out for me because that's the other end of the scale. No, that's not what I really want to say, but did. I would say this to all the filmmakers: persistence, drive, keep going. Don't give up. And many people are naysayers, and they're going to stop you. For whatever reason, they're going to stop you. Just walk away from them. As hard as it is, do that and move forward. How about you?
For me, it's quite simple. This was an invite for me. Thank you very much, Greg.
I'm glad you're here.
I will follow up with hire Jerry.
Well, there you go.
But at the other side of it, I just really want to thank you very, very much for having me here today. It's a beautiful
Appreciate it. I'm glad
Saturday
you're
morning.
Had a great
Fall
time.
is beautiful on Long Island, and we're able to spend some time together with some good friends. So thank you so, so much.
I appreciate it.
Greg, I enjoyed myself immensely, and what a nice show.
Thank you.
I'm looking
glad.
forward to seeing it as well.
And believe it or not, I never thought I'd have a show about. I'm a Brooklyn boy. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I never thought I'd be doing this for Long Island. You know, trying to get the Long Island filmmakers out.
You're not going to be able to say that anymore now.
No.
That's over.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you for watching Long Island Filmmakers TV. Hope you enjoyed it, and come back again next week. God bless. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you again, Greg.
Again, thank you.
Bobby. What a loving bunch.
So, I think it went quite well. I really had a good.
Oh, that was great. I enjoyed myself.
Well, I just let it roll for a couple of seconds.